Hello, my stamping friends. My name is Holly Peterson, and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in the U.S. My video for you today is part of a blog hop that includes fun folds and techniques with some of my teammates. My blog link is listed below, so make sure you click on that to hop onto everybody else's projects. We each did 2 cards for you and are providing the measurements and instruction for one. To get the other card recipe, you just need to place an order of $50, a minimum $50, before tax and shipping on my online store between November 22nd through 28th, 2021. I will also throw in a package of elegant faceted gems with your $50 order. With that information, let's get started. I'm using the artistically inked bundle, the stamp set and the dies. And this is the card I'm going to make for you today. I'm going to use some of the different paper just to show you a different look of what this card is. So the first thing we want to do is we will go ahead and stamp our flowers for our belly band. And I'm using Magenta Madness ink. And then we're going to use Pear Pizzazz for the leaves. We're going to let that dry for a few minutes. While we're letting that dry, we can go ahead and stamp a flower on our envelope. So we have that done. My card base is thick whisper white, or thick basic white, and it is 8.5 by 5.5, and I'm going to score it for you. So to make this gatefold, we're going to score at 2 1/8. 2 1/8 on each end. So we're going to mark that at 2 1/8. And then flip it around and score it at 2 1/8 again. With that, now you should be able to fold it. I like to reinforce it with my bone folder. And those should meet right in the middle for you. So now this is a regular size card, 4 1/4 by 5.5. I have some designer series paper that we're going to put on the front here. And I'm using the back side of the gold stripes. This is the artistically inked designer paper as well. So it's a whole part of that suite. These strips measure 1 7/8 by 5 1/4. So we're going to put some adhesive on there. I'm using liquid glue, but you could certainly use seal for this or whatever your favorite adhesive is. And we'll just center that on this panel. And then we'll do the same thing on the other side. just like that. Before we finish the outside of the card, I'm going to go ahead and stamp the inside of the card. Let me look at my mask here. I did a stamp to flower on a Post-it note so that part of it's sticky so that I can have a mask. And then that way I can put some leaves behind it, and it'll look like the leaves are behind the flower instead of on top of the flower. And I only cut out the mask right on the line of the stamping where I was going to put my leaves. So we'll just line this up here. Stick that down. And then using our Pear Pizzazz leaves, I'm going to stamp over the flower just a little bit onto the mask. And then when you take your mask off, it looks like your leaves are behind your flower. Okay, we're done with that. I'm going to set that aside for a minute. The next thing we're going to do is with the Stitch So Sweetly dies. I use this large label die, I guess you would call it, and cut that out of basic white. So then what we're going to do with shaded spruce ink, we are going to stamp our greeting on the bottom center of one of these oval pieces, and that'll be the bottom of our label. Okay, while I have my shaded spruce ink out, I'm going to stamp Happy Birthday on the inside of the card as well. And both of these stamps, greetings, come from the stamp set. So then I'm just going to put that up here at the top. Okay. So now on this is a part of a belly band. I'll bring this card back in here. You can see I have some gold. This is our gilded leafing, the gold gilded leafing. So that's what we're going to do now on our label here. Let me close up my ink pads to make sure I don't get any leafing on there. If you've used the gold leafing before, it's very light and airy, and if you're not careful, it flies everywhere. Okay, so we're going to use the big swirly background image stamp with Versamark ink. I have my heat and stick powder here ready to go. And my gold leafing is right by my side as well. So the first thing we're going to do is, I don't want this Versamark to go on my background paper, so I'm just going to tear off a grid sheet from the Stamparatus, the little small grid sheets. And then I'm going to ink up and then I think I stamped it this way. However you like it, we'll maybe do it a little bit different this time. So we'll stamp that with our Versamark. Versamark is a watermark ink, so you won't be able to see it on camera. And then I'm going to pour heat and stick powder right over the top of that. tap off the excess, and then I'm going to use my heat tool to heat set that heating stick. What that's going to do, it's going to turn it slightly shiny, and it's going to turn it into glue for me. Let me get this out of my way. I could see me spilling that everywhere. That wouldn't be nice. Okay, bear with me while I turn on my heat tool. Make sure you don't burn your fingers. Your heat tool gets really hot. So then when that's all shiny, we will quickly put it into our gold leafing. And I have 1 container of gold leafing in this big container. I find whenever you're working with this leafing, you definitely want it in a bigger container because it will fly everywhere. And then you can just push it onto the heating stick. So now that's glue. And then I have a little, I think it's called a stipple brush. The bristles are kind of stiff. And then we're going to just rub that off, get all that extra leafing off of there. And we're going to just put it right back in our bin because we can still use that on other projects. As you can see, a container of this leafing will go a long ways for you. Okay, I think that's pretty good. So while we have our leafing out, on my flowers, you'll notice I did some little tiny dots, and then I let it sit for a few minutes. I used the Tombow multi-purpose liquid glue, and I have that in a fine tip glue pen bottle, but it's my Tombow multi-purpose liquid glue. So on our flowers, I've already die cut some flowers, so I'm going to use those ones. Sorry, I'm kind of a hot mess here. Okay, so here's my flower that we stamped earlier and that I've already die cut. So we're going to just put some glue. Oops, I didn't make sure this was working yet. We're going to just put tiny dots of glue. Well, maybe. Here we go. Just for the center of our flower. And I'm going to also do that on my envelope. And then I'm going to put the needle back in my bottle of glue, and then I'm going to just pound it a little bit and get that glue down back out of the barrel. So you're going to let that sit and get tacky for just a minute. It won't take too long. While it's doing that, I have 2 pieces of basic white that measure 2 1/4 by 4, and 2 more pieces of the designer paper from that same packet that measure 2 by 3 3/4. I'm going to glue those on. the designer paper onto the basic white. The nice thing with this liquid glue is you have a little bit of wiggle room before it actually sets. And we're going to do the same with this one. Okay, so set those aside up here, and then we're going to bring back in our gold leafing, and we're going to, oops, sorry, out of the camera view there. I'm just going to press it onto the liquid adhesive that I did. We'll use our brush, and then you just get teeny tiny little gold dots on there. And then we'll brush off our envelope. Oops, I forgot. We did that on the inside of the flower here as well. It's just like what we did on the other flowers. I'm not going to do that right this minute. But if you wanted to add those to the inside of your card, you would just add a few little dots of the liquid glue there and stick them in the gold leafing. Okay, I'm going to reinforce this so that it stays a little bit more closed for me. So these strips here, get that out of our way. Are going to just be adhered to the front here. You want to try to make the spacing equal at the top, in the middle, and on the side or on the bottom. So I know I only want to put adhesive on half of this. So I'm going to use my liquid adhesive just on half, and then use this for my placement. And then just hold it down. Now that one I did on the right, so this top one we'll want to do on the left. So we'll add some more liquid glue. And hold that down. So then our card opens with flaps on either side. To keep our card closed, we're going to do a belly band, and I have another strip of that same designer paper. Ooh, maybe I'll do the gold side. This measures 1.5 by 9.5. And we're going to want to, I didn't score it. When I do a belly band, I like to just wrap it around. So the seam is going to be in the front because we're going to cover it with our label. So you want this tight, but you don't want it too tight that you can't slide it off. So you can do kind of a trial run to see if you've got that in the right place. So once I have that, I'm going to just reinforce those scores. And then I'm going to put some glue on the end of this one and then also on the end of this one. And then we'll just fold those together. And then we're going to put adhesive. This time I'm just going to use my seal. And then we're going to cover up that seam and center our label. All right, then we have our flowers that we cut out, and we're going to put a couple of dimensionals on the back here. We're going to set them on our label here. And I kind of overlapped them a little bit. And then with my leaves, I will put a couple of glue dots on the back here. I'm using 3 since it's going to stick to that gold leafing. I don't want it to come off. And then you can just place them however you like there. And now you can slide your card back through the belly band. Ta-da! Thanks for stopping by. Don't forget, click on the link below to go to my blog so that you can hop along to all the rest of my teammates. Thanks for stopping by and have a lovely day.